May have to put the for a nap in a minute, but I'm going to give it a minute to let some people get in here. We're back up taking care of the dog and her tummy today. I dropped my crochet. I got it. So y'all know that Dave has kind of been done with this social media for a while. It's just kind of a necessary evil at this point to get communication to a lot of people that want to watch what he does here in Appalachia. He did, however, fall in love with Ko-Fi. So he's making the switch. We've already got that set up. I say wait, I just put myself in the middle of everything. He's already got the Ko-Fi set up. It's Hillbilly Heart. It's Appalachia Life, Appalachia Logic. Follow David, trapping and fur trapping, and he's going to share lives and videos when I feel like doing them on here that I share. So we'll still be on here, but the Ko-Fi is going to be his primary thing because he can funnel his Etsy and everything through that and kind of do it all wrapped up into one. It's kind of like a hub center for him, which I completely understand. It's easier for him, so that's fine. My hair's getting long, y'all. Good morning. You hear my dog snore. I may have to put her up. I'm back up here taking care of her. I feel better today. The weather seems to be moving, although North Carolina got flooded again, y'all. Have y'all seen the pictures of I-40 after the rain? Isn't it funny that, every time something floods, the government makes so much money, but the people don't? Anyway, a lot of people have been, and I understand that a lot of y'all that watch Sabrina stuff, and you have questions, you don't always want to ask them out loud or leave them comments, and a lot of you have found the email and stuff, and I get it. I understand. You don't want to go in there and look like a newbie. Hey, listen, I think I'm not an idiot, but I still most of the time have to really, really research just to hang on in that realm over there. So don't feel bad if you have to ask questions. Please hear me out. Yes. Baptized at age 12. I'm good. Hey, Sally. So a lot of people have been emailing and they're going, what made you specifically pay attention to Sabrina? And I said, well, our paths converge, even though we talk different and we focus on explaining things in a different way. We're still talking about the same things a lot. But when she began talking about the frequency and the biofield and stuff, I gravitated toward her immediately. And she was very hesitant. She was very hesitant because she saw me first and reached out to me because she was hesitant to get online. And I was like, well, if you have this knowledge, you really need to be online because a lot of people don't have this knowledge. You really need to be online. And I was like, you just kind of have to deal with stupid people and go forward and hope you find your crew, and that's kind of what she's done. And but she was very hesitant to communicate, and we finally did a video call, and we just became fast friends, and now she basically is family. And she's working her butt off right now, y'all. But when she started talking about the biofield and all that stuff, I was like, okay, that makes sense, because let me tell you why. My uncle had leukemia for like 16, 17 years. They were just doing surgery after surgery, telling him they were trying to save his life. It was aggressive and blah, blah, blah. And he was always super sick. And then he was contacted by an old man. He was an Air Force retiree. He spoke in Congress several times. And then he was contacted by this guy, and he was like, hey, I can help you with that. And just being him and at the end of his rope and being told you're not going to make it much longer, he was like, okay, sure, talk to me. And that man introduced him to RIFE frequency systems, RIFE. They have RIFE machines. It's basically underground, talk to your doctor. I'm sure your doctor's heard about it, but they don't put this out there very much because pharmaceutical companies, they don't want this. They don't want this information out there. But for several years, I've used Rife machines to combat my neuromuscular disorder. And like I said, out of the two women at the same time that were diagnosed the same day as me, sitting in the doctor's office, and we kept in contact, I'm the only one still kicking. And I've not taken the medicine they've taken. I've not required some of the care they've required, but I've done pretty heavy doses of Rife. And why did I try that? Because when I started researching frequencies, and I'll catch on to the chat in just a second. When I started researching frequencies, NASA, government health places, they kept talking about FSMs, which were frequency-specific microcurrents that they used for bone and tissue growth and correction and healing. And I was like, well, if these big rich people have this in their pocket, maybe it's something. So I thought, well, I'll try it. And my uncle and my parents actually got a machine for my granny. And my granny in the nursing home, you know, she was released to us because the nursing home would not take care of her. We had to fight during COVID to get my granny out of the nursing home. I got a little angry during that time. But we got her home, and they had purchased a Rife machine to use on her, you know, and she, as soon as she got home, her health corrected. She was, you know, dementia and Alzheimer's, but she was passive and patient, and we just took care of her. And, you know, Mom did 99% of everything, but her health stabilized. And, you know, it was just, you know, a century of your body, and she passed away when she was 93, I think. And but Mom cared for her for like 10, 12 years altogether. And when she got her home, because she would care for her every day in the nursing home too, because the nurses wouldn't do it. But during COVID, they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't even let you in. I got big issues with that. But anyway, when we got her home, all her health corrected. What it was when we would say, you need to make sure you're stopping in her room and letting her sip water because her hands couldn't hold a cup very well anymore. They would say, well, there are watering stations in the hallways. Okay, but she's bedbound. That's like a farmer saying, well, that cow there with 4 broken legs, there's a water trough 20 feet away. She's just lazy. So we took care of that. But they got a machine, and I began using it too. But my uncle, the reason they bought it was my uncle, after, oh gosh, several months of using it, went back for a repeat scan, and they couldn't find any leukemia in his body. If y'all know medical research, they swear that leukemia never leaves you. That it's always, once present, it's always present, and it cannot be resolved. They can't find it. They haven't found it since. He's doing well. He's lost like 300 pounds. He remarried, new lease on life. He's doing great. And I have seen it really help me. And I have some pretty massive health issues. I'm just going to say, I just have pretty massive health issues. Hi, everybody. It's popping in. I'm fixing to have to put the dog up for a nap. She's going to annoy the heck out of us. She gets like a toddler, gets sleepy, and walks around going, I'm not sleepy. And she walks around trying to keep herself awake and coherent. But with her belly issues, we've been having to keep her on a regimented feeding schedule. So I have just been here, there, and everywhere taking care of what feels like a newborn baby. But that's okay. She'll get better. I'm trying to crochet too, and that doesn't seem to be very, very effective today with her needing me. Let me put her in her kennel real quick. So while I put her in her kennel, just go over to Google and type in FSM, frequency-specific microcurrents. And just look for just a second. I'll be back in about 20 seconds. Come on, little May. Come on, little dog. Okay, so if the government is paid for all this research, Why do they not just readily disperse it? Why doesn't everyone know? Good question, right? Will we ever get the answer? Probably not. I mean, most of us probably realize what the answer is. This information is kind of like a pay for play, and it's reserved for what they feel is the elite upper crust crew that they want to be around for a long time. So the more I researched, the more I realized that these frequencies were a big deal in everything. You see the numbers of the frequencies repeated in Tesla's work and in every frequency that they use in those programs with the FSMs. And so you start seeing pattern recognition. And I was like, well, there's obviously something to this, because they keep repeating this information and these things keep popping up. And so I'm saying there's something here. And so that's why I took a chance. And I created a lot of it. The reason I'm still here today. That's exactly, I think, why I'm still here today. Now, will I last forever? Absolutely not. This is a very aggressive disorder. It attacks my organs. And I just take it a day at a time. Some days I'll have good days. Some weeks I'll have good weeks. And then for sometimes months, I'll barely be functioning. But everybody else that was diagnosed with me is gone. And one thing I've learned about myself with these frequencies I use to heal myself is just how sensitive I am to frequency and sound. Now, I've always thought music was very healing. I've always been absolutely, if I went to church to a singing, whether it was out of the hymn book or a group singing, I always felt better when I left. And when I listened to music, I always felt better after I listened to music, especially my favorite songs. I always understood that music could emotionally create space for pain in the brain. There's research behind that. As y'all know, I have a master's in psychology. I was absolutely intrigued with how music actually creates room in the brain to deal with pain, to process pain. And it helps you like free up that space so that you're not always centered on the pain, but your brain can function and continue to help you emotionally heal. So we use that in a lot of trauma-based therapy that I did. We used music a lot and musical therapy. So, but also I've noticed that I have ears that are built funny. I've had so many CTs and MRIs and other tests, and I have extra bone marrow and extra bones in my ears, which causes me a lot of issues. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I've had mastoiditis several times. It's very dangerous because it can turn into meningitis and kill you. I collect fluid back here in the mastoid bone, unlike anyone else, but it's because with the way my ears are made, the fluid and the crystals in your ears that helps you with your balance, they can't move correctly and do correct things, or they're ultra sensitive. I won't say they're not correct. I'll say they're ultra sensitive because of the way they're made. So I hear things that other people don't hear, which was made very prevalent with the Rife machine because I can hear it hum in different ways. And you can see the light change the pattern when it goes to the next frequency to treat something. And I will be like, do you not hear that? And everybody else will be like, no. And I'm like, okay. And you just have to get used to it. Nobody else has ever heard it. I hear it. And then the funniest thing was, I think my mom and dad were like, do you really hear it? And then mom and dad put those ultrasonic varmint repellents in their yard. And I didn't know if they worked or not. I'd seen them advertised. I was like, I don't know if those work or not. Well, then I passed one and it went, and I heard it, and it liked to turn my brain inside out. And I at first thought something was coming over my Jeep radio. So I stopped. And apparently I stopped right in the line of that. So it triggered it again. And then I saw the flash from the little sensor. And I went, oh, God, it's that little thing. And so when Dad came in from the farm, I said, do you hear that thing when it goes off? He goes, no, I don't hear a thing. He said, but the dogs haven't been in the front yard since I put them out there. And I said, well, I know where they have been. It freaking hurts. He said, you hear it? And I said, yeah, it hurts. And so that I knew that worked, I ordered two and put them on the outskirts of our yard just to keep stuff away. I have now put the one in my bean patch so that the deer won't eat my beans anymore. I hear these things. So I am super, 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 super sensitive to frequencies. I found that out. I always knew I was super sensitive because I've had really bad migraines and really bad sound and sound separation issues with my ears. But until I had all these health issues and they really answered my questions and told me the structure's different, I didn't know what was going on. Now I do. So I understand now why I'm super sensitive. But I even think I'm more sensitive to that in many ways. We got somebody from Turkey in here. How you doing? Is that Turkey? Yes. So I found that out later in life than I should have, but I'd always known that I was super sensitive in a lot of ways. When I worked in probation and parole, mostly parole, and I dealt with the violent criminals, the murderers, the sex offenders, and the interstate compact big name felons, I literally felt the projected energy off these people. I could spend about 5 minutes with somebody, and when they left the office, be like, "Oh, that's going to be one we're going to have a tangle with, or that's going to be a problem," or they're kind of like pretty docile for the black and white that's on their file pages. I don't, and I would, and lo and behold, after years and years of supervising people, I had nailed it the first time I'd met them. A lot of y'all have seen that with my Pantene. If you go back on this page and you see where I've shared Pantene, I call him Pantene because he had big, long, gorgeous hair when I met him. And I always poked violent offenders to see where their hot spots were, to see where their aggressive tendencies lied. And so I would never call him their Thomas number. I would either call him by their name or I'd give him a nickname. And he had long blonde hair. And the first time I saw him, I thought, oh God, he looked kind of grumpy. And I thought, let's engage and see what we feel out. He was very sweet. I couldn't make him mad. We found out later in life that people, because he was 6 foot plus and looked like he was going to be cast for Vikings, people just expected him to be mean. So that's what he gave them, because when they encountered him, they were already bristled and mad. And you'll know when I say bristled, if you follow Sabrina, you'll know what bristled means. Now, I shave my arms because I have a lot of tattoos, but you'll understand what bristled means. When I've said bristled my whole life, something made me bristle, or I bristled at the thought of that. Y'all follow Sabrina, you know what that means. And I didn't do that. He was very nice. I didn't pick up anything. And we found out that he was just giving people what they were anticipating and begging for out of him. And I said, you're going to have to stop letting people dictate your worth, your life, and your geographical location. Keep your butt out of prison, because what they expect, you don't have to give to them. You can be whoever you want to be. And it broke him free from this cage in his mind. He now writes beautiful music about recovering from drugs and alcohol and anger, basically. But I called him Pantene because he had the most beautiful hair. I said, what shampoo do you use? Because I can't grow hair like that. And he was like, whatever Mom has in the shower. And I was like, well, you're going to have to write this down, because I want hair like that. I said, it's gorgeous. And he's like, I think it's Pantene. And I was like, Pantene. And so I just called him Pantene. The next time he came in to report, I said, hey, Pantene. And it stuck. And to this day, if I see him anywhere, if I'm traveling and I go to the next county over, I'm like, Pantene. And he's like, Miss Liz. And he actually came and spoke to youth groups for me about the trouble that all this caused him and how to stay out of trouble and how to turn your life around. He's a wonderful human being. So his music is on there. If you want to go to his YouTube page, it's Chris Stringer, Stringer. And I try to tell him to share more, do more, but he's really timid. He's a 6'4" timid person. If I was 6'4", number one, I'd be skinny, but number two, I wouldn't be timid. But so I had to figure these people out, and I can figure these people out and kind of feel the energy off of them. I've worked with livestock and horses. I've trained horses, show cattle, and shown sheep and goats and everything in between my whole life. My dad was a blacksmith. I spent a whole lot of time in horse barns growing up, high-strung, overbred horse barns. And so I picked up on a lot of the energy of these animals. I saw how the animals negotiated terms in the pasture. I picked up a lot of behavior. And I can tell YouTube's lagging me. YouTube is trying to lag me, but they think they're going to shut me up. It just makes me talk more. Learn your lesson, YouTube. Learn your lesson. Something happens to YouTube, you go to Ko-Fi. Find me. I've got earmarked pages, Hillbilly Heart, on Odyssey and Brighteon, and even Rumble if I have to go there. But my husband has activated the Ko-Fi pages. He actually likes Ko-Fi, so go figure. You're going to see stuff from him, and he'll probably link to my lives here when I feel like doing them. But I learned the behavior negotiation from animals, from wilderness, from coyotes, bobcats, turkeys, otter, beaver, foxes, bear, deer. And I grew up in these, gigantic horse farms. And my dad was a blacksmith. My mom was an educator. I would go with Mom to her college classes, then go with Dad to the barn. So I had the best of both worlds growing up. I understood the pressure that you applied to people to emote, without using words, because I saw the horses and the animals do it every day. I picked up on that very quickly. I pick up on when people do it. It's not something I'm blind to because I lived in it and I'm well versed in it. So I see people's mannerisms differently than maybe you see them in a social setting. I see it as pasture behavior and establishing a pecking order and where they think they are, in the social strata and where they think you are. And then I'm kind of like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to have to respond to you to establish my place in the pecking order. So I learned that pressure and release with people like horses and animals do. So I became very smart in that way. I also learned a lot about scientific crap going on in the breeding programs of these high dollar cattle and horses. When I was 17 to 19 years old, I was pulling hair follicles, DNA, and blood to send for this homozygous testing so that people could basically order a specifically colored colt if they wanted a Sabino, a Tovero, an Overo, a Tobiano. They could order what they wanted, even down to the eye color, search the database for these tested studs and mares, and basically facilitate getting the perfect foal on the ground. So I pulled all this stuff, and I had to put on my little Bill Nye the Science Guy kit in the barns and go pull all this material from these horses. And I was like, if they're doing this to horses these days, what are they doing to people? And it got me curious. So, research is slow when you're young and married and having kids and life, but I've maintained my curiosity through life. So I look at things differently. I talk differently. I tried to talk way down here so that you can follow me. I don't care that I twang. It doesn't bother me a bit. I know how much time I've spent learning, researching, passing huge exams and licensing things so I can work in a professional field. I don't care that I twang. I've been recorded by linguistics professors at the University of Tennessee. I have the dying dialect of Appalachian. I'm very proud of it. But I also know what's in my brain and in my heart. So I'm very confident with who I am. It doesn't bother me. I may be a heifer, but I'm the blue ribbon heifer at the county fair every year. Just remember that. So I walk through the world a little differently than most people, but I try to always remember it's better to be able to communicate with somebody than to not be able to communicate with somebody. And I have more avenues of communication because of everything I learned from all these different vantage points. So the frequency thing was it was a no-brainer because everything I've learned about frequency and everything I've seen researched about frequency in my professional careers and stuff, I knew there was something there. So I latched onto this, and I'm lucky that my family had this and I was able to experience this and use this. Yeah, Mickey, yeah, that's one of those words they don't like when I say, so thank you for putting it in the comments. Look at the chat and watch what these people say. I can't always say these words, but you can always read them. Very important. So when you hear me say these things, when I say bristle, that's what Mickey just said. That's what, when I say I bristle to this, that's what that means. Okay. So I had no problem immediately listening to Sabrina because she made perfect sense from all the information and research I'd done. And sometimes I have to literally research for days to understand one point she's talking about. A lot of people have issues with the quantum crap. And basically they say that everything's made up of atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons, but because those atoms have both a positive and a negative charge, basically they can exist in any phase depending on the frequency that goes through them. So the frequency they know can augment this atom and the electrical impulses and the structure of this atom. So obviously if we're made up of those things, we can also be altered. That's the hillbilly simplified version. You're welcome. So it's just like your remote control to your TV. It sends that frequency and it reaches its destination, and that is a being that has that capacity to have that frequency go through it and alter its structure, which makes it perform a task. Our bodies are the same. It can be used for good, it can be used for bad. So that's what it Yes, Mickey, thank you. That's what it means. So that's like the most simplistic version I can tell you. And a lot of people believe that since frequency can also change the structure of the cell, and because they found out with this quantum crap, that they think it can also not only change the structure and the build and correct things, but also put it in different, how would you say, phases, dimensions. But anyway, that's like way on up there, and you have to keep reading. But you got the simplest form of this now. So that's another thing that they have a hard time following, is when she says anything quantum, they're like, huh? And I'm like, okay, well, let me step in. This is where I shine. I dumb it down for you. Because, I don't want to sound smart as much as I want you to understand. Because if I can't communicate with you, then I'm not very smart. If I can't say, oh, well, I want to share this information, but I don't care who can actually receive it, then I'm not sharing information. So what I do is I look at the way Sabrina and her brain works, and I go, oh, that's great. I see it. It's even a little hard for me. And I go, well, here's where I shine at bringing it down here, because I've had to bring information down to people that needed it brought down to them for years. So I bring it down. And that's kind of what I do. So when people ask me stuff, and they ask me more than they will ask her, because they're too timid lots of times. And they don't want to put it in comments to be ridiculed by the people that have been there forever, which is not cool, people. Don't do that. So I don't care to help you out there. It's where I shine. It's what I do. Also, I found something out. That Starkey Homestead shared one of my videos last night. And I found something out that the week of the No Kings, where they started plastering those No Kings rallies everywhere and those maps that I did the video about last week. And I said this map looked eerily similar to something else. And then I showed you all it was the trafficking hotspots in America. And it just stuck in my head. It was pattern recognition from all my training days, where they're like, here are the patterning hotspots, trafficking areas, and remember this data, remember this map. Apparently, I was paying attention during training. A+ for me. I remembered it. So I linked it up in my head, and I shared it with you last week. And I said, this is eerily similar. And I had a lot of theories running around in my brain. Didn't really want to talk about them, because we were trying to not dilly-dally too much on the internet during those few days. But now I find out that also, just previous to this, a lot of people who were not supposed to be giving CDLs were given CDLs with no vision test, no health inspection, no training, no nothing. And they weren't even citizens here, if y'all picking up on laying down. They were given CDLs, and a large quantity of not adult human beings were found in lengthy aluminum trailer transportation devices with people who were not licensed to be driving them. So maybe what that was to scare off law enforcement, saying we're having these huge rallies, people are going to be traveling to these places, we're going to be everywhere, don't poke the bear. And law enforcement said, dude, just don't pull people over, just don't stick your nose in it, just let people go this weekend, fill your quota the next couple weeks, so that they could transport. So they did catch some, but how many did we miss? Now that we know this did occur, how many were potentially missed? And was this a cover to make law enforcement and everyone else hesitant to interact with anyone on interstates or anyone traveling to weird places? But the fact that they said the No Kings rallies and the map they put out coincided so correctly with the trafficking hotspots makes me think that perhaps they were just trying to scare people from taking action on the roads, highways, so that they could move a mass number of individuals. It makes me wonder. Y'all know that when I was trained and when I worked in law enforcement, I've told you repeatedly, we were told how dangerous Knoxville was, that it was a hub area because they could spin out of it and go to multiple states, multiple areas, and multiple rural areas and disappear very quickly when compared to other areas. So we were trained very heavily on that. And I will have you know that when you put an S offender on GPS locator ankle monitor systems, do you know the only place that they blip out where you can't follow them? Like, you see the little on the map, you flip up your laptop, you can follow all your people. You know exactly where they all are. And you go, why the crap is he over there? Why the crap? No, and then you have to go call, find him, check on him, get your butt back home and write a warrant if you need to. But you know the only place that they blip off the radar? Walmart. Walmart. They go they go into a Walmart store, that signal stops, which should not occur according to the monitoring software. It should not occur, but it does. So we were in a very rural area. So if we saw somebody blip, we would give them about 15 minutes. We'd be like, okay, they're in Walmart. If they don't show back up in 30, we'll get concerned. You know, as long as we didn't get, you know, a tamper code, we would give them a few minutes. But the only place they blip off is Walmart. So it was like, you know, so you learn these things. And then people don't know also with frequencies, another thing I was used to doing. We had RF frequency scanners. So when we went by people's homes, they used them mostly for metro areas, for apartment complexes when there were multiple offenders and multiple units. They could just scan this apartment and see the TOMAS numbers of the people identified in there, because they would have to wear these locking ankle bracelets or bracelets for the officers that use these things. They also equipped us with that, but not as many as the metro areas had. But we could drive down old country roads and scan a home and see who was in there and be like, listen, Billy Joe, tell Jim Bob to get his butt home. He ain't supposed to be visiting you. And he's not here. Yeah, he is. He's crouched in the bathroom at the other side of the house. Tell him to get his butt home. So we had that technology. So knowing what was out there and what I've worked with and what I've seen in my career, and then what I've researched with the medical and mental health components of stuff, you know, just a lot of this makes sense to me. So I never questioned Sabrina with the frequency stuff, because I was like, okay, yeah, seen it in action. Understand that I know very little about what is actually used by our government, but I know enough to know that I probably need to pay more attention. So that's what I gleaned from my time in those jobs. So a lot of people are just, you know, wanting tidbits of information, or trying, I guess what they're trying to do is concrete, you know, whether they should be putting a lot of faith in her or not. I can't tell you that. You have to make that decision for yourself. All I can say is with what I've researched and studied and done, she's never lied to me, and she's normally told me about stuff 2 or 3 years in advance, and I've been like, now I'm just like, wait for it to happen. She said it's probably going to happen. She always drops the links to everything she's studying in the videos. It's normally government links or stuff like that you can verify. So she doesn't ask you to believe her. You can go and research yourself. But I understand that when you watch her, you may be confused a little bit. I still get confused when I watch her sometimes. It's okay. It's okay. We all can't be super smart. I have to play catch up a lot too. Don't feel bad. But I can say that in all the time that I have been following and researching everything she's talked about, I've learned so much more than I thought possible, and I'm so much more hyper aware than ever before, and I feel so much more capable to understand, comprehend, and navigate the world that I'm in. Of course, I live a very simple life compared to most people. I still do things the old school way. So, and here in Appalachia, we just, you know, we do things a little different, and that's okay. We've also been screwed over by the government so many times that we have just an inherent just fear and side-eye response to just anything that talks about or has to do with government. So, but yesterday we talked about Project Greek Island. We filled in some blanks for you there. Today I wanted to fill in those blanks there with those few things that have been sent to me. And I understand you don't want to put things in comments, or, you know, you don't want to ask if you're on her page in her lives and stuff, or able to put in her comments. You know, hey, I understand. Some people are not nice when, you know, they've been doing this for a few years and you've not, and they, you know, they're not always nice. Look, I put my little possum's legs on. Oh, thank you. I get it. So yeah, just continue sending me stuff. If you don't know who I am, that's why I'm a retired counselor, parole officer. I supervise violent offenders for the state of Tennessee, did Interstate Compact. I've worked with wilderness camps and at-risk youth. I did medical transcription, nuclear med transcription for a long time as well. I kind of been there, done that. Put myself through college working at horse farms. My dad was a blacksmith. I grew up on livestock farms showing cattle, halter breaking show cattle. I've got missing teeth to prove it. They're fake. Got hit bit by a bull when I was young. He became a steer and then hamburgers, so I won. But I'm a pretty simple person, and I like when I communicate to communicate effectively, which I find effective and simple are very synonymous. And so I want to help y'all better understand and clarify. Now, I'm not going to be giving out her information that's behind a paywall for free. Number one, because she did that to stop the trail traffic and the assault she was under. But little tidbits to help y'all understand key components. I don't care what to talk about. But I would say it's a great asset to have Miss Sabrina in your corner. I had like a 400-pound chunk of selenite over here for my health that she brought me, and just her visits and the things that she taught me about my health have helped me battle this neuromuscular disorder so much more effectively. And she's just been a joy. She's been an absolute joy. This addition to my life that has just helped me on so many different planes of existence. I swear it has. Well, we want to do another interview. If you go back on my page, I think it's linked on Ko-Fi. I'm pretty sure David put a link on it because he put a bunch of links to the important stuff. He likes Ko-Fi. He's like, it's like Facebook. I can maneuver in it. And I'm like, I don't like it that good because you can't search. I like to search. He likes it because it's more like Facebook and he knows how to use it. And I'm like, okay. So my husband, he really likes it. So, and he's like, I'll link to your important stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But my husband's a hardworking man. He's a trapper and a fur tanner, and he works a full-time job. And if you want to see what he does, he's got an Etsy store. It's Hillbilly Heart Decor. And I do some craft stuff too. He's constantly buying me craft stuff. And of course, y'all know I'm also got Lenape Cherokee in me and my Irish dad. I look like my Irish dad. But I do a lot of Native-inspired art to keep my culture alive and to keep the things that I learned as a little girl going to powwows and the community alive. And I make a lot of ceremonial sticks, talking sticks. I'm working on a huge Watusi horn rattle right now. It's the bane of my existence right now. But I do a lot of stuff like that, a lot of dream catchers, a lot of bone and tooth jewelry. I have on my spirit bear necklace today. It's very pretty. And I like natural materials a lot of the time, so I like a lot of bone and tooth jewelry. Well, you don't have to have an account to go on Ko-Fi. You can just go to ko-fi.com it's ko-fi, ko-fi.com/synergy. And that'll take you to her page, and you can see what all was there that's, free consumption, or you can go to Odyssey and just look for Synergy. You don't have to have accounts just to peruse those sites and see what's there. And I would advise you, if you don't feel comfortable making accounts somewhere, to just stay on the free places. You don't have to sign up, to do it. I completely understand why people don't want to do that. I've been fingerprinted at state and federal level, so they kind of know everything about me they can know, so I'm just kind of balls to the wall at this time of my life. I can't hide anymore, so I just shine. I just shine. But yeah, if you want to look at the stuff that's on Dave's Etsy store, he otherwise works at a like a building supply center, and we're scrappy Appalachians, and with my neuromuscular disorder, it took my big income away. I was supposed to be taking care of him at this time in life. He's a good man. That didn't pan out, so he's still taking care of me, and I feel bad about that. So I don't care to give you his information and stuff like that. If y'all want, I think on the Ko-Fi you can donate, but I'm not really looking for anybody to do that. But if you want to have something handcrafted by me or my husband, the Etsy store is there, and he would greatly appreciate any help. So it's just Hillbilly Heart Decor Etsy. You kind of get an idea what we do. You kind of get an idea what my whole house looks like too. It looks like a taxidermy shop and a candle place just threw up. A candle slash crafting nook and a taxidermy shop threw up together. It looks like one of those travel touristy, like Apple Cottage trinket shops in Great Smoky Mountains. That's what my house looks like. I guess that's my decorating scheme. Great Smoky Mountain tourist attraction. I don't know. I will berate myself. You don't have to do it. See. I think she's got the comments disabled now because of some of the hate that was going on and other people being contacted and brought into the hate. She doesn't want that. She's not about drama and hate. She would rather you not even speak her name and just take the information and go with it. But I'm here to tell you, the woman's an asset. Like, if you want to put wrinkles in your brain, you just consume her information and then go research it more. If you don't want to listen to her, just go get her links and read them. And it's going to change your whole world. It's going to change your whole life. And she doesn't really want to be famous. She doesn't want to be known. The woman hides very effectively. She hides here sometimes too. But she doesn't want to be famous. She just wants everybody to be able to get this information without it costing her the drama and headache and hate that it has caused her. People hate anyone that's intelligent, that is smart, that may have figured out more than them in their time on this earth, or people that are in a pay-for-play, money-gaining potential place with this information and would rather earn money with it than just tell people. So she's trying to do this the best way to keep herself safe, but the cheapest way to get the information out. And if you look at all the other websites that make you pay big bucks, and other people that make you pay per Zoom or per live stream or per document, it's just mean. And she gives most of her information away for free. If you do want to deep dive and get to the stuff that causes her a lot of hate or can cause her potential problems, it is safer for her to have a little bit of a paywall up to protect her and the people that want to be there. And I appreciate that. And since I'm now able to access Ko-Fi, I guess I will be there some too. So I can't guarantee it. You'll know by the inflection if it's me or my husband on Ko-Fi. Y'all can tell the difference, I'm sure. He's going to be talking about the woods and about furs and animals and wood lore and Appalachia life. And I'm probably going to be talking about stuff that irritates me. Stuff I see in the world that irritates me. Stuff that needs to change. But now I feel kind of bad because when I noticed that No Kings map was very close to that training map on the trafficking hubs, I wonder if maybe I should have taken that a step farther and just been like, hey, law enforcement, is anybody paying attention? Because I'm a retired little, terminally ill woman in Tennessee, and I figured that one out. Is anybody else paying attention? Anybody else still doing their job? I'm just curious. Just curious. Yeah, I'm one of those that, like, I'll have to do the lowest, like, $5 thing to be able to do comments in Sabrina's place, because I'm dirt poor too. And y'all, I'm really close to her stuff, but I don't get a lot of additional time with her unless she stays with me, which frequently she does come stay with me for a couple weeks. But like, I don't try to get her attention or get the free knowledge. I normally just follow her and I'm in there with the rest of y'all in the herd. And the alone time I get with her is where I get the inside knowledge. So I'm going to have to be there right with you and pay some of the lower things to be able to get the knowledge. Now, most of the time when I talk about stuff, it's just going to be on Ko-Fi, and you're going to be get the tidbits, the juicy tidbits, and I'll try to keep everybody in a simplistic form to understand the big, digestible, important stuff. So we'll hang on. But if you really want the full story, I think it's the lowest is like $5, and that I'll probably do that. Some months we'll have extra money, I might do more. But that's just so I can be in there and interact. So give me a couple days because I got to figure. I don't understand Ko-Fi like my husband does. It does not compete with me because it is like Facebook, but it's not like Facebook. And I've gotten surly in my old age, and I wish they would stop trying to mesh these systems and social media platforms to converge, because it screws with my noggin. But I'll figure it out, and I'll be there in a couple days, and just so I can communicate with y'all, and so that y'all can more readily find me. But we'll keep doing these as long as YouTube lets me. And my husband said that he would tag these as often as he could. He gets home every evening. He does his little social media time, and so he said he would tag everything and share it on Ko-Fi if you're on Ko-Fi. And that I would hardly recommend just to go to Odyssey, the Synergy channel on Odyssey, and just consume all the free material she has on her Odyssey page. There's also a Synergy Biofield, and there's a lot of channels based on her information. And I'm not going to tell you not to go to them. Just if they don't share links that she shared and you can't privately research them, just be careful and make sure that you are doing proper research and you're not swallowing just everything, because some people, really, they just are money centered, and they are just looking. If you have real information that could change people's lives, you're not going to say, "And in 2 weeks I'll tell you, order my book." But no, you're going to be like, "Oh God, okay, well I have to stop certain people from, causing me great harm if I give this information out. So I'm going to put up a tiny paywall that like 90% of everybody can pay $5. That's nothing in today's time, so that you can get this information. She's not saying follow me for 3 years and buy my book and blah, 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 and the stuff that she does create that she likes that has helped her. I mean, she's just like, cover the cost of the software she uses to create it, or the craft items she uses to create them, or the technology has to have to create them. She does so much research and consumes so many books, and she listens to everything on like 2 and 3 speed, which I used to do transcription, so I'm pretty good at that too, but she processes it super quickly. Okay, I find that she does that, listens to like a 3-hour podcast in no time at all, never has to stop and rewind. I literally, when I do that, I want to push a foot pedal to rewind and pick up words that I missed. And I'm like, oh, I'm not listening to transcription. It won't rewind. I have problems doing that because in my head, I think I can rewind because I'm thinking like a transcriptionist listening to the quick voice. So I can hear it, but sometimes I still need to rewind. She doesn't rewind, y'all. She just listens to it, consumes it, and goes on. It amazes me at times. But she, above all, to me, she's been a wonderful addition to my family. And her friendship is something we both needed each other at a time in our life where we had just basically lost our best friends. And so, and it was just, I think the good Lord willed it. So, but she's a wonderful person. And when she talks, people are like, well, she's so highfalutin and intelligent, honey. Her heart is just as simple as clay mud, and that's a good thing. She is she's able to become many things, but the one thing she isn't is altered. So she's not got a heart of deception and a different perspective or different mindset about this. But she has had to kind of protect herself and her family lately from some of just the really nasty people in the world. There are nasty people in the world. I miss the comments too, Sherry, because I would come on and leave some zingers. I miss being able to zing people. That was nice. Yeah, the links are great. I mean, y'all see how much. Oh, we got people from the Netherlands in here. How do you do? Yeah, in Europe they block a lot. VPNs are great, but sometimes you even have to be very questionable about the VPNs you choose. Just saying. One of my favorite people in the world lives in Prague. Peter Freestone. He was Freddie Mercury's personal assistant till he passed away. And if y'all know me, I have a bunch of Queen tattoos. I have Freddie on my arm. His music literally absolutely salvaged my heart during my teenage years. And I went to North American Queen conventions as soon as I found out about them and met Peter Freestone, and we just kind of clicked. Very sweet man. I understand why Freddie wanted him in his life. He's like walking Xanax. He just calms everything down. I love him. And we just really clicked. And he would try to speak like me, and I would try to talk like him. And we would just crack each other up. We started trying to get together and like have sit down little meals at the fan conventions, but like early in the mornings before people woke up, or grab a table on one of his breaks and try to catch up. And he's actually coming back to the States this December and going to be in lower Alabama, Louisiana, Alabama. It's going to be at Pandora's house. Pandora's one of my Queen family. The guy that ran the North American Queen conventions just recently passed away, Mr. Paul De Ferrari, and he was a great man. He was probably one of the most sweet, generous, caring men I've ever met in my life. He just recently passed away, May 31st, I believe, May 20. Around the end of May, he passed away. It was horrendous. And so Pandora was one of his best friends. She's trying to keep these meet and greets going and give the fans somewhere to still meet up every few years. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to travel that. Listen, I drove to southern Georgia a couple months ago and it like to kill me, but I had to see my twin grandbaby, so it was worth it. But that man has been a godsend, and he lives in Prague, and everybody around here, when I go to the post office to mail them stuff to Prague, they're like, and I'm like, what? He's my friend. Now, we rarely talk about Freddie. We normally just crack each other up with life stories. But sweet man, I adore him. I think his heart is one of those special hearts that God put on the face of the earth to just mend everybody else's broken hearts. He's just a sweet man. He's just a sweet man. I don't idolize Freddie. Freddie made a lot of mistakes and did a lot of things wrong and probably learned a lot of lessons nobody else ever wants to learn. But the heart in the music is amazing. The heart in the music's amazing. The information and knowledge I gleaned from just Queen songs in my youth. I mean, there are songs based on Shakespeare. I freaked some teachers out when I was young because I was doing papers paralleling these great songs with these, Alfred Lord Tennyson works and stuff. And they would be like, oh my God, you're a thinker. And I'm like, yeah, this music kind of prompts that. So music has always been, and once again, circles back to frequency. So lots of ways me and Sabrina laugh about Queen music. She's very music oriented too, if you've not picked up on that yet with the karaoke. And so we laugh a lot about the Queen music, and Freddie has kind of become something that we both share and enjoy and kind of use to heal a little bit. I'm very much a music person. So if I'm having a great day, it's going to be even bluegrass and gospel coming out of my house, and everybody's listening to the music. If I'm not having a great day, it's probably going to be some death metal. The other day I was feeling surly, so it was Danzig, How the Gods Kill. So, music is just one of the things that it can help you emote. And like I said, psychologically, they did research. It helps your brain create space to navigate emotional healing, traumatic healing, everything. So it's a great thing. So that's kind of how I came to be. So we covered the frequency things, I'm tangled. We covered the frequency things, how NASA incorporated it, how I have seen it work in my own family with the Rife machines. Research Rife, R-I-F-E. I still use one. If I'm at the farm, I'm under the Rife because I'll sit under anyone's treatments, mom's, dad's, anyone's. I'll just sit with them. It's not going to hurt me. So I do a lot of Rife. Even the Chihuahua gets a Rife treatment because he's diabetic and blind. That dog is 19 years old. He's the crypt keeper, and he's still here. May potentially have something to do with that machine. Have y'all seen Oliver in some of my videos? Yep, Oliver's still with us. He's 19. He's diabetic now and blind, but he's still going and looks really good. Bless his little heart. Well, thanks for joining. You have a good sleep. I appreciate you being here. So we covered kind of what I wanted to cover. I just wanted to give a little bit more information. And I don't really want follow. I mean, you can follow me for free on Ko-fi if you want to see the links that are going to be important, what I'm saying, because my husband will put them there. Or you can follow me here. I wouldn't ask anybody to do the donations coffee. I understand that some people are creating that, but I kind of like, I think if you wanted to do something to help this end over here, just go to the Etsy store or share the Etsy store link. My husband's a hard worker, and we're poor as whippoorwills, so anything helps. But we would rather make something, handcraft something, and send it out than just see coffee money flip through. I don't know. We're just hard workers. So easy money normally goes easy. Hard-earned money normally sticks around. That's how we grew up, and that's kind of how we do it. So I will be doing these. He will be throwing them up on the Ko-fi page. They will also be here as long as YouTube allows me to keep them here. And I just come on and talk about the tidbits of information, things that irritate me, things I see in the news. Some days I'm just purely whining. And we all have those days. And some days I'm just in a slap happy mood where if I drink a Dr. Pepper or Mountain Dew, hang on to your horses. We're going to have a funny day. Because I don't drink a lot of caffeine. And when I do, it's normally when I'm crafting, and then Lord knows what I'm going to create. I've been kind of busy with this new rescue dog, so I need to finish that horn rattle that I'm doing, a Watusi cow horn rattle. And I'll get it finished eventually. But I've been making a possum. Isn't it cute? I like to crochet. Crochet is very calming to me. I did get out and throw my knives the other day. That was calming too. Not as good as I was 10 years ago. Darn it. But it's really good acuity test for my hands because, as you all know, I've been working on my fine motor skills with this disorder and kind of seeing how they've changed over the last 10 years. I'm definitely losing some of my ambidextrous qualities I had as a young person, especially when it comes to, this is going to sound really bad, but when it comes to weaponry and stuff. I grew up in the sticks. We hunted, and I used to process meat, work in the taxidermy shop. I don't trust myself as much with sharp objects anymore. But I didn't do as bad as I thought I was going to do. But it wasn't good. But we'll get there again. It was good exercise because you throw a few and then you have to go pick them up. So I've been having better leg days. I've been having a lot of leg pain with this weather system, but better walking days. So I've done a little bit more, and I'm not going to sit here and try to manicure my feed and my life to make you think I'm perfect. Most days you'll see me, I won't have on makeup. My hair will be in a bun. I'll be in PJs or other clothes that are speckled with paint and whatever else I'm working on. And we're just going to talk about what's important because I'm not on here to win a glamour award. So that's what we'll do. But I appreciate you popping in. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the curiosity. I really appreciate the curiosity. I have a few mods. We may have to add more. If you want to be one of the people that emails me, it's watersworkload@gmail.com. All one word, watersworkload@gmail.com. I try to check it at least every other day. Normally I try to check it every night. And of course the Ko-fi is Hillbilly Heart. David's Etsy is Hillbilly Heart Decor. And I've basically got waiting pages just in case on about every social media platform I think is important. So I'll pop up as Hillbilly Heart somewhere. But you don't expect money or nothing. We like a good community. We like good people in the community. And if you want to help my family, share the Etsy store. Go look in the Etsy store and, just communicate. Some days, all I need to improve my day is a curious person reminding me that what I'm saying and what I'm doing isn't falling on deaf ears. So sometimes you're knitting today. Oh, that's awesome. Sometimes all I need to know is that somebody else is in the same realm as me mentally and they're curious too. And it will, like I'm having a bad day, that will fix it. So, money is not the only way to pay it forward on this channel. Okay. It would limit the trolls, but I'm kind of the last buoy out here bobbing in the water, trying to direct people toward Sabrina and toward a little bit more information. And I can take a few more hits. I mean, I supervised murders for a long time. I've been called everything but what I really am. It doesn't really bother me anymore. A for effort, if you spell it correctly, I'll give you a prize. But it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some people. So I'm kind of hanging out here on the rough streets of YouTube going, okay, and if you like me and you're a decent person, go check this out. And then if you like the free stuff on Odyssey and you want to know more and you're not a hostile person, you know, toss $5 and get in there and comment and consume some of her stuff, you know, that she puts on a safer place so that she's not being persecuted socially. Some of the stuff that happens to her, y'all, is really bad. It's really, and it affects sensitive people in lots of ways. Now, I have built a wall over many years with all the jobs I had, but it still is harmful. And I can absolutely say that I agree with her decision to do this after all I've seen happen to her. And I can still tell you that it's not her main motivation, but she absolutely does need to recoup everything she's out, because this woman goes through the information for y'all, buys the books, reads them in hours, turns it back around and spits it out to y'all. I mean, it's just like you have the best research buddy in the world and you don't have to do anything. It's Ko-Fi. You can go on Odyssey at the Synergy channel on Odyssey and go through all of her free stuff and researcher links and all that stuff. If you then want to follow her more closely and be able to communicate the comments and even in the lives and stuff, then there are really affordable tiers on Ko-Fi. But I literally am just going to do the $5 one, y'all. I'm poor too. Now, granted, she visits me and I get a week or so with her, and that's nice. But most of the time, I'm in the herd with all of y'all and just gleaning the knowledge I can. So when we really, Froggy, we voice call and voice message about stuff when we need to. But for the most part, I'm out here with y'all, learning with y'all, and just hanging on with y'all. And I don't mind to do the kind of parallel, dumb it down, hang on to this in a different way so you can compost it better. I don't care a bit to do that for y'all. It's where I shine in life. I got a reviewed message. Let's see if it's a dandy or a dud. Oh, it's kind of both. It's kind of what you expect, but he spelled stuff. He spells stuff funny, but then he wanted to see part of my body, but then called me a man. I'm a man. I actually have like 3 times testosterone most women have, but I credit it to working cattle and farms and tobacco fields when I was young. I used to be a powerhouse, and now I'm just round and domesticated for most of y'all. So, yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to be a little bit more creative to shock and awe me. Monitor sex offenders. I will say that if you say stuff like that to me, then I normally will report you to YouTube. And what they will do is actually kind of go through and see where you've been placing your comments and the content of them. And if you've perhaps said that on some channel where there's a juvenile present, you could potentially end up with some big charges. So monitor your behavior accordingly. The internet is becoming policed. And it should be, especially with all you boys out there that have stock in Kleenex and lotion. Y'all need to be nice. Not everybody has the free time y'all do. Just saying. Slow down. Oh, okay. So I've got him about halfway down. I've got to do his front arms. I've got him ready. I'm just going to attach him. Then I'm going to do his head. Other than that, I'm just caring for Luna. She's had her lunch and she calmed down. She's going to have her nap now. And then we've got to do another short meal in about an hour and a half. Yeah. About an hour. And then my shift is over for the day. So I'm really wanting to do other stuff, but I have more time to go through that book I'm reading and do some notes. I'm reading that. Basically, it's Human Health in the Electrical Empire. That's my Cliff Note version. I'm reading it and doing notes and trying to compost the material to respit out to you all. It's one of those expensive books that everybody should read, but don't go buy it. Let me just tell you what it's about. And then if you want to go buy it, you can, but let me give you the Cliff Note version. Don't spend the money. I did, so you don't have to. But I want to do that. And those days will probably be more conducive to when I'm on the farm and I'm not taking care of 50,000 things running the roads. And I can sit down in a quiet spot and do a live from the farm where it's more zen and focused a little bit more in depth. So we'll start the book stuff when I get a quiet day where I can just sit and focus on that. So that's going to be a pretty lengthy round of talks because I had to stop highlighting because I was just going to highlight the whole book. So we're going to learn quite a bit. We're going to put wrinkles in our brain, and we're going to intrigue our curiosity and find more rabbit holes in the world and maybe learn a few more things. So it's already making me go, oh, yeah, I understand why people said read this book. I've also found another one I want to read. And what was the name of it? Obscured something other. Obscured Principles by Kane, something other Kane. But it's the paperback is like almost $70 on flipping eBay. So I'm just going to have to kind of look for one of those to come up that I can afford. But I really want to read it. Obscured Principles. The Obscured Principles by some, I think it started with a D, something other Kane. And I'll try to get my hands on one of those when I can. So I'm watching the Goodwill Librarian and the Goodwill Books and eBay and Amazon. It's just very expensive. I made a net giggle today. We've got some new names. I appreciate you popping in. I appreciate the ones that are behaving even more. But I will try to find that book, and we'll probably digest it at some point as well. It looks like it's going to be just as full of knowledge, and it's going to be a think tank, and I like those books. Now, remember, I have a neuromuscular disorder, and some days it's like MS and my eye muscles don't work, and I can't read as much as I want to. So we may not go through this super fast. But I guarantee you, if I see something important, you will be told about it. So that's why you may want to review the YouTube lives and see. And I'll put an idea, if we're talking about the book and stuff like that, in the title of the live stream. So that's where we are. That's who I am. It's what I do. And that's the frequency stuff and the no king stuff that I wanted to talk about. Other than that, same old in the world. It's the Banty Rooster race worldwide. I just look at world leaders, and all I see is little Banty Roosters just trying to flog something 10 foot taller than them. Or I see that poor guy that had the lisp, that bless his heart might have been 6 foot something and 270 pounds, but mentally he was 3. And he wanted to be on parole, but he was so proud to tell me when I went to serve paperwork in the jail that he was the pod fodder of Echo D. The pod fodder of Echo. I'm the pod fodder Echo D, Miss Elizabeth. It's pretty much how I look at world leaders these days. Yeah, I know. It's absolutely. I just look at them and I'm like, if I could say 3 words to world leaders, I wouldn't even try. I would just go, beso bitches. Beso bitches. I would just back away because there's really nothing that you can say to them that's going to change them. I just 5 seconds want to be on their level with them and just communicate where they can understand. That's where I am. You got your popcorn. I hate world leaders. I just, they're about as pretty as the south end of a northern bound mule. I don't really care for any of them. So that's where I'm on that. Useful as the G in lasagna. World leaders. I mean, none of them can get their poop in a grape and get anything done. If you looked at world leaders like you did at stable hands cleaning the stalls, you would understand why I think we're all standing in a mountain of crap. Because nothing's ever getting done. So, yeah, that's just how I look at things. Maybe one day the world leaders will care. I don't know. I don't know. The few that do care, bless their hearts, they can't care enough to correct everything that's going on, or they'll get tainted at some point and bought out along the way. And we're floating into the No Child Left Behind phase of government officials, and it shows, y'all. It shows. It shows. Just saying. I don't think many of our politicians were in that gifted program. And I'm not talking about the woo-woo one. I'm talking about the actual one, the test scores. They are. They're just staring at their shovels, wondering what in the world they're supposed to do. They can create it, but they can't scoop it. And I'm just like, boggles my mind why they don't understand the world's population's irritated. We're just irritated because we're out here doing our work. We got to put the money where our mouths are, and we have to lay against the grindstone and work, and then we watch them, and we're like useless as tits on a boar hog. I just don't understand them. Oh yeah, that's what I've been doing. I know when she says my name, people show up. So I have gotten on the Ko-Fi bandwagon with the prompting of my husband, who really likes Ko-Fi. It's going to be mostly his baby, but he will be linking to these and sharing these on the Ko-Fi page. And I will be helping talk about certain key points, little tidbits of knowledge to help you understand certain things a little bit better. And I don't really want anything except for share my husband's Etsy store link. And if you're shopping, go look at it. But I understand that Sabrina, if you've seen the heck she's been through, you will understand why she made her decision. I fully support her. And y'all, the kindness that she has done humanity, just opening herself up to what she's had to deal with to get this information out there. We owe her the world. We really do. And I mean, she stays in my home, and she is basically family. And I can't tell you how much that she's just a solid, decent human being. She's not always who you see on the videos either. She's very calm. She'll just walk up and do your dishes and make you a patty melt at the stove. She just jumps in and does house chores when she's here. She's funny. She will crack you up too. She's hilarious. But she's very chill most of the time. But when she's spitting information and knowledge and irritated, you'll know it. But she's not that person all the time. She's just like the rest of us. Emotions are bus stops. You're there for 15 minutes till you get on another one. She is a gem. Hello, Allison. So if you've never learned of Sabrina, go to the Synergy channel, Psinergy on Odyssey platform. Consume all her free stuff. Look at all her links. Challenge her, test her theories. And then if you think she's, worth $5, you can see the other stuff. Do it. She just does that to keep the nasty trolls away. And I'm here to tell you, there's some nasty people out there. And I don't spit the knowledge she does, so I don't get as much hate. But I have seen what she gets, and it's not. It's not pleasant. So I support her completely in this, and the work that she does so much of it. So I'm just kind of an accessory to help compost the huge mountain of information. And I can't compost it all for you, but the stuff that I'm asked about or the stuff that I certainly will. But I'm not going to replace the source by any means. I'm not that smart. I don't have a problem saying that. I am not that smart. Yeah, a lot of people share her work, and a lot of people do it maliciously. My dad was listening to the AM radio on his tractor the other day and heard her name. And he was like, he calls her Louise, because he calls us Thelma and Louise when we're together. So he was like, was that Louise? And I was like, yeah. He was like, wow. I was sitting there in my tractor going, I know her. And I was like, yeah, Dad, that was her. Dad was like, he's like, I'm not going to ask her to say the grace over dinner again. He said, because she'll say it in Latin. He said, Latin takes a whole lot longer. And I was hungry. Latin does take a whole lot longer. He was hungry. But they love her to death. They enjoyed her visit. They can't wait for her to visit again. Mom's going to teach her how to make yeast rolls when she comes back. So, yeah, my dad's a character. If you've not seen my dad, he pops up often. On that one, it says spend a day, evening with us or a day with us. Every time he would see me taping something or videoing something just to do it, he would stop in front of the camera and like a 3-year-old toddler do something stupid. I was just like, it's my dad. It's my dad. Which he's kind of busy. It's supposed to dry up, and he's probably going to be in the hay end of next week. We hope. The rain here is going to really screw over the hay intake for cattle farmers here, but we'll deal with it. So I may not get a lot of Dad if I do stuff from the farm over the next week or so, but as soon as the hay comes in, he'll have a break. So that's my dad, though. He's hilarious. He's point blank too. I do have a little bit of tact, and I give that to my mother. That's my mother in me. I am no way as kind and pleasant as she is. It's not possible with me. I try. It's just, I can't do it. And then I look at my dad and I'm like, that's why I can't do it. So all these years when Mom's been like appalled at my behavior, I've been like, you married the man, you knew it was halfway in there. I mean, listen, I'm half that man. It comes out. And then she's like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm just going to blame it on Dad. Well, see, he was a pastor, and but no, if he was hungry, he had stuff he would whip out so he could eat. But he was very excited to let her say grace, and she was like, "Do you want me to say it in Latin?" He's like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That took a long time, and I was hungry." He enjoyed it though. He was like, "That was very neat," But he was like, "Not gonna ask her to do that again. I was hungry, and that took a long time." But my dad's character. My mom is very patient, and that's, I think, how they stayed married all these years. I can sometimes have tact, but sometimes it's just best to hit it wide open. That's fine, and that's what I do a lot. It was necessary in a lot of the careers I had with the people in the population I worked with. So I am a lot less polite than I was when I was a child. I was very seen and not heard as a child. Straight A's, no problems. You're not going to see me. You're not going to hear me. I'm just heading down and doing my work. And I was a people pleaser. And my first marriage taught me a lot. If y'all have watched my last week of stuff, you see he's 23 years divorced, and he's still causing me crap. Like, it's like stepping in a cow pie and 23 years later still having the stink circle around in the wind. He won't go away. And I'm like, you're so bad at things, I can't even get rid of you correctly. So I'm handling some stuff with that. But I'm kind of like, look, here's what I'm going through. Learn from me so you don't have to go through it. I don't try to look like I'm perfect. I am not. I'm a hot mess most days. Most days when my health's bad, I won't brush my hair. It's going to go up in a top knot, and I'm going to look like death with my thyroid under eye bags. Okay? This is Theodore the Tyrant Thyroid. He's probably fixing to leave me. We've been having some squabbles and a lot of medicine, and he doesn't like me or the medicine, and he doesn't like my heart either. So we've been having a lot of health issues. I have a lot of health issues from this neuromuscular disorder. But I'm not here for a beauty pageant or to get fans. I'm here for a good community, good people, and good communication and good conversation and good information. And I have a really wonderful subgroup here on YouTube. But every once in a while they throw me in the algorithm, and the trolls are interesting. Who said that? Yeah, and I'm one of those that, like, if it's going to benefit me, I'm going to ask. I don't care if you don't want me to ask. It's going to benefit me, I'm going to ask. Because I need to know. It's going to benefit me. So shut up. Tell me what I want to know, and then I'll go away. But if you don't tell me what I'm going to know, I'm going to still talk. I'm going to ask. Just tell me and I'll go away. So people normally talk. That's how I am. But I'm a nice person. I don't go out to be mean. I have a moral code. People that contacted me this week. I've contacted an attorney. Basically, I've had to say, listen, you're going to have to investigate me like you would someone that you may have to defend criminally. I need you to do this. Tell me what you want me to pay to see if there's anything else that this family that I detached from all these years ago could potentially have done with my information, my social security number, or anything that I had signed in that marriage that they did not correctly take care of according to the divorce decree, like we found out this last week. And she's like, okay, it's going to cost me a whole lot of money. But if I don't take care of it, if something else goes wrong in that deal or something else puts me in a position like this, it could make me liable for anything attached to that mobile home or that land the mobile home was on, the sale, any issues that arise, any back taxes, any back electric charges, any back phone bills, anything that was affixed to that place where it sat or is still sitting. And if I can't, if that happens and I can't pay it off in my lifetime, then it will tag my children. And I have a really big issue with the man who would not pay child support, who left to pursue a woman that he met in 3 days, left me and $2 in 3 days. I don't own a dog that'll run trash, let alone a man that will. Adios. Get out of my life. But he left and didn't want to pay child support. Didn't, as soon as he got child support attachment, he didn't want to go to jail. So he started, let me terminate my rights. State won't let you. As soon as got remarried, he started calling saying, well, let's let your husband adopt. I don't think the state will let you either. Then he called back and said, I talked to him. If I co-petition and ask for the adoption, they'll do it. And literally, I was like, what the crap? And he's like, there's just one hitch. I don't have any money. You'll have to pay for it. Didn't know if I really wanted to do it. But I talked with my husband, and he was like, I'll adopt the kids. He adopted the kids like 3.5 months after he married me. Now, we've been married for 22 years. But that was a big ask. Man didn't bat an eye. He took on these kids, raised them. And I had to look at him the other day and go, hey, after all we went through to shake him off, I just found out that he had left me open named on everything, and I could have been taken to court, and I could be caught up in this land deal that is now having issues because my name's still on things by court order should not be, and I don't know what else is going on, and this could tag me and the kids. So he didn't want to be, my ex-husband didn't want to be financially responsible for those kids. He wanted to get rid of them so he didn't have to provide for them. But then he left me open on a lot of documents that could potentially cost me money, and if I couldn't get it paid in my lifetime, go to my children. So he wanted the kids to be financially responsible for him. That bugs the holy bejesus out of me. Like, it makes me want to buy a ghillie suit and hide somewhere. Thank God, that orange is not my color, and I know exactly what happens in jails, and I don't want to be there. But it's irritating. So I'm having to go through a bunch of attorneys and get a bunch of stuff looked into. And I notified the sheriff's department down there where this occurred. And I said, if I find anything that is forged, they're like, hand it to us. We'll investigate, give it to the DA, they'll prosecute. And this morning I called the real estate agent back. I said, hey, you've not been wanting to talk to me, have you? Since you found out I'm a retired parole officer that prosecuted warrants and never lost a case. And he was like, well, I just didn't feel like we were getting anywhere. And I thought, yeah. I said, I'm going to have to hire an attorney to do a deep dive on myself. I said, medically, with my health, it's not anything I need to be doing. I said, I don't need this aggravation. And I said, when I get the bill for it, I'll let you know what it is so you can pay it. Because I'm not going to sign that until I know it can't come back on me in any other way. And he's like, well, that's fair. I said, I know it's fair. And he's like, I was afraid he's going to ask for half of the sale price. And I said, I'm not that person. Even though you're way richer than me, I'm not that person. But I'm not going to assume the crap with this. I'm not going to assume the crap for this because a piece of crap didn't do what he was supposed to do. So you should have done better recon. But I probably shouldn't have trusted the divorce court to actually make sure he did everything on the up and up. Ladies, do better research than the FBI. Now that I've worked in corrections, not everything shows up unless it's in default or a problem. So they'll hold on to stuff to screw you over, and it won't show up on your credit until it becomes a potential screw over. So be careful. So I'm having to correct this, and the real estate agent was really nice. He was like, well, that sounds fair. And I said, well, when I get done, I'll let you know the bill because I ain't paying it. And if you don't want to pay it, then we'll just pull up a civil thing and we'll get attorneys and we'll get all entangled. I don't got a problem with it. And he's like, no. So I'm trying to be nice about this. And because when I called him to try to see what was going on and get the answers, he just basically said, just sign the freaking piece of paper. I'm doing you a favor. No, no, this is not favor status 23 years too late when me or my kids could have been financially ruined at any time and still could be on the line for something. And I'm telling you people, if I had been at a livestock auction, if he had been a horse or a cow, I would have been like, put him in the glue pen. Nobody's going to buy him. He's not worth the money. Show me something else. But because I have this little place in my heart that finds the best in people, I thought I could change him. Don't do that, women. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That was probably one of the best things I learned early life because when I went into supervising convicts, I could see the potential they had. But I could also at that point identify if they could grasp that concept themselves. And if they couldn't, I knew we were going to have a rough road. But if they grasped that concept and believed themselves and started to project that person that they could be, hey, I was right in there with them, helping them and working right beside them. I will help you shine. But if you're not going to shine, I will just do a warrant. And thankfully, most people wanted help shining. And I think that when people that are the underdogs that society has given up on, I think when they bounce back, it's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. And I enjoyed seeing that more than most officers. The parole board loved me. Tennessee State hated me because they didn't make a lot of prison money on me. But I had like an 84% success rate on my caseload, which is really good. But I'm also a counselor at heart. But I got these skills by tangling with some sorry people early life, and it caused me some headaches. This is one of them. He's the gift that keeps on giving. At this point, if he had given me syphilis, it would have been easier to get rid of than him. But we're handling it. Life. So learn from me, my mistakes. I'll share everything with you, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we'll just crow hop through life and make the most of it. But I am here to help ease the avenue of intellectual enlightenment because it can be difficult. And sometimes you just need somebody to go, well, now here, listen here, this is the simplest form. And that's what I'm here to do for you. So, but I'm not perfect. I can't do everything. I won't be able to tell you everything, but I will hit the highlights and help you compost what I think is most important. Yes, Annette, cover your butt. I thought I had, but I learned now that when you do backgrounds, you don't just look for anything that wants to pop up as a trouble. Or, you start to look for stuff that's attached to you that's not necessarily in a trouble status. So that's something I learned, and that's why I'm hiring an attorney to do it this time. Because credit agencies just don't care. So it's been a roll your britches up week because it's been deep around here. And I don't like that because I'm retired and sick, and I just want to float in my kiddie pool and be left alone and sip my non-alcoholic beverage, enjoy life. I don't know how much time I got left on this world with this stupid disorder. I'm just trying to just exist and do kind things. And this kind of hits a speed bump with me because it doesn't make me want to do kind things. But we'll get through it. One way or the other, we'll get through it. So that's the high points today. I hope I helped a few people. I hope you understood a little bit more about the frequency stuff and understand me a little bit more. I don't want you to think I'm this personality. I'm just a person. Just a person. And don't ever look at anyone that's on a social media platform as a guiding light. We're all wondering which way the light's coming from too. because it's being hidden from us these days. So we're just all out here bumbling blind together. So don't look at me as a guiding light. Just look at me as a translator of sorts. And that's probably what I'm going to do for you. That's about as good as I'm going to be for you. And a little bit of comic relief. And I might make you feel better just letting you know the crap that I have to deal with in my life at times. You'll feel normal because the only thing we all share is dysfunction. So that should make you feel better. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to have to eat me a little bit of late lunch, get her fed again, check her stomach out. She's doing a lot better. We've only had one throw up in almost 3 days. I hope this little dog is going to be okay. So seems to be helping the issue a lot. We're able to transition the food a little bit better, so things are going better, and I need a few days of rest. So I'm glad things are going better because I'm going to have to take a day and just snore here very soon because I've been running and doing a whole lot the last few days. But it's okay. It's nice to feel needed, even if it is dog vomit. Never know what I'm going to say. Yeah, if you look at the frequency stuff and the stuff that I talked about earlier, it'll take you into some frequency rabbit holes, and it's very important to just be curious. The best thing you can do for yourself is to be curious. Want to take notes, want to fill in the blanks, and sometimes you're not always going to learn what you want to learn, but what I'd say is take the information, put it in a pile, then sift through the pile. If you don't know if you need that right now or not, just leave it in the pile. It'll kind of figure itself out in a little while. So if I consume a bunch of knowledge, I throw it over here in my brain in a pile. And then I'll go and consume more and stuff that validates that. Then I'll pull it out of the pile and I'll put it in a hard file. And then the stuff that I can't validate, I throw away. And that's how I shuffle stuff in my brain. So I absorb a lot and I sift through it. And if it doesn't get validation or something to tell me it is truthful in any way, then I shove it. And that's kind of how I research. And that's how I made warrants. So that's how I research. That's what I do. And another thing that's very important for today's civilization to understand is language is words are weapons. And that is so true. There's a song. Who's it by? Who's it by? They sing Gasoline and oh crap. Words are weapons. You're gonna look at the song, but it's very true. If you look at contract law and the vernacular vocabulary and connotation, denotation in contract law, and then property law, and it's all kind of different. They've been taking our spoken word and our vocabulary part for decades. And it is to create their own, let me find my word so I get this right, to create their own avenue to weaponize our vocabulary against us so that they know all the loopholes and we don't understand it well enough to understand what they're saying to us so that we get caught up in these loopholes with them. So they have been doing this, a lot of it also has to do with your neuroplasticity, your cognition, how you retain things, how you identify yourself, because they want you to kind of lose your self perspective and blend into society and become consumed with things outside of yourself rather than retreat and really be intensely invested in yourself. And how you feel at the core as a human being. They want you pulled out into their portions of society. That's why algorithms are so important to them. If you never look for anything different, then you live in a bubble and they can basically manipulate how you perceive the world, especially if you're not going out and choosing to interact with people. So we've got a lot of young people that have been, it's kind of like the politicians have an OnlyFans. Can we say that here? It's an only politicians. And they have created this world that people retreat to feel self-indulged and satisfied, but it's very void and empty. But because they've removed your reflection and intrinsic desire to retreat internally and sort things out, they get to shape how you deal with things. And so they've created you as a human being. They've created you as a social being. And now they're wanting to create you basically as a cellular being. And people haven't caught on to this. But you can't fight them if you can't speak the language. And so they've been taking our language apart for many decades. Because it takes away our understanding and ability to communicate effectively. Nancy, I'm an oddball too. I think sometimes it's the best thing to be. If I look too much like other people, I'm going, what did we all watch or see, or advertisement what happened? And I'm like, did they get me? Did they get me? And then I'm like a mule. I'll sit back and completely go the other way. And it's just so I can get away, break from the stream, and have time to talk to myself and to determine what's going on. They don't want you to do that anymore. They want you to go to the internet for solace, for therapy, for religion, for spirituality. Nobody spends time with themselves anymore. Matter of fact, silence is something that people said they can't stand anymore. But silence is the only place that you can hear many things that are very important. For me, it's you can hear God speak to you, but you have to be quiet and you have to be intent on listening. And if you never have a quiet time or you never have a quiet spot, how do you do that? I do a lot of quiet time. I do a lot of music, different types of music, different formatted music. It's why the old people chanted. It's why songs are so important to spirituality and religions. The frequencies, the hertz, the resonance. It's healing, and they've kind of erased all of those healing things, and they now control them. And that's why a lot of music today is falsely created. It has no heart. It has no soul. And then the words that are used in it are atrocious. And once again, there goes that vocabulary. Look at how specifically like rap and hip hop has completely induced a society to a pivotal point of rage. And it's a fictitious lifestyle created for a musician to make money. It's a lifestyle he doesn't live himself unless he's truly one of the really evil ones. He's just using it to cattle call and make money. Yet people go out and try to portray this life because they believe it that much. That's the power that words and music and frequencies can have over you. So I'm very careful where I put my energy. And that's probably the best thing I've learned in life, is be very careful where you put your energy, who you share it with. Because let me tell you what, it'll screw you over every time. Every time. Annette, from David's other schedule in the winter where I was up all the time with the stove when I was up here and stuff, I still wake up at 2 and 3 a.m. I really wish I'd stop doing that. But I found that that's a really nice quiet time, because it takes me a while to drift back off. It's a really nice quiet time for me to have that little reflection time and thought process. So that's kind of become my little midnight break. And even when I'm on the farm I still wake up then and I still do the same thing. That's kind of my little quiet time for myself. Well, and that's a good point, Samantha. It's really important to read, research, test the theories, and look at a lot of research. There's been a lot of research done on frequencies, and you have to kind of dig into scientific journals and peer-reviewed journals, and you have to get into territory that's not the funnest to get into. But it is very important because they'll tell you medically what they found to be helpful, and they'll put it in a scientific paper. They won't commercialize it. They need to know what's helpful so that we don't get our hands on it. And they know that a lot of us don't have the patience to research. A lot of us don't even have the time or the effort to go to these government websites and see what they're doing that they put point blank on the web for us to look at. We're just too lazy to go look at it. So they don't have the faith that we'll follow through and actually learn anything. So they don't care to publish in scientific journals where they don't think most of America and most of the world's going to look. So it's important to kind of go look and do your research and understand which ones are good. And then test the theory. You'll know very few seconds into a song whether it's something that's probably going to hit you positively or negatively. And I think that everybody is probably in the same ballpark with the frequencies, but maybe our bodies have specific frequencies that they like more. So I think we're all kind of a little different. I know that I do better on certain RIFE protocols. I do better on some than others. And my mom does better on some than others. And I think it's just body composition and everything else, cell structure and all that. So, there's some individuality to it, but a lot of it is just what has been researched to give them the knowledge to know what is helpful so that they don't give it to us so that, Big Pharma and all this other stuff can keep trucking on down and doing what they do. Yeah, and you have to learn to trust yourself, but that's where I'm that time to reflect and go inside and commune and talk. And it's not a bad idea just to have a little talk with the Lord in the middle of the night, and it calm a lot of things. Nancy, I read autocorrect profoundly because it gets me all the time. I normally don't have great fine motor skill in my hands with this disorder. And so you'll see in a lot of my titles and stuff, you'll see autocorrect get me. Or while I misspell something that's really close because I'm really swollen or not functioning great that day, I am fluent in autocorrect. It gets me all the time too. I appreciate you popping in. I need to shut up. I could talk the hind leg off a meal, but I'm going to shut up. I've got to make sure I feed her and keep her on her schedule. So I've got about 10 minutes. I need to get that done. So I appreciate you. I can't always do super gigantic ones, but where I've had a busy week and I had to run and go and do, this is kind of giving me a break in the day between all the attorney appointments and everything I've had to do this week and taking care of Luna. So it's been kind of a nice break for me. I can't guarantee I can do this all the time because my health comes and goes, but on good days I'll try to do this. But the really great talks probably be when I'm down at the farm and I'm in a better environment, my health is better, and I can be more focused. Because up here, I'm normally taking care of stuff. When I'm here, I'm taking care of stuff I don't enjoy taking care of. Not my dog, but like the attorneys and stuff like that, doctor's appointments and stuff like that. And when I'm on the farm, I'm in a very nice place. And if you've seen the videos when I'm on the farm, it's just a good healing place. And I just, stuff comes across a lot better when I'm on the farm. Keep making possums. I'm going to keep making small ones too. But if you saw Sabrina pop in yesterday in one of the videos, she wanted a possum. She meant a little one, but I'm just sending her a big one. Because I know she will want a big one. So I sent her some birthday stuff too. But I'll go ahead and make her a big possum. So, but I've got one of the little ones done. I've got another one started. So anybody wants a little possum, David's basically going to put him up for like 15 shipping to cover the yarn and the yarn stuffing and embroidery and shipping. And he said he didn't care a bit to do that. So they'll be on the Etsy store when he gets them done. They're all going to be slightly different because my hands never crochet the same way twice. And I write the pattern, but I keep it in my head, which is not a very good thing. But so they're slightly different every time. Or I may think, well, this little guy needs to be fatter, or I want the head shaped differently, or I might do his ears different. I don't like to make things exactly the same more than once. I'm a weird crocheter. Patterns are great as guidelines, but they're suggestive. I can suggest a change. I'm very fluent. So I'll make more, but that'll be slightly different. But he's going to throw them up on his Etsy store. So if y'all want a possum, It takes me a long time to make them because there's just as many stitches in this one as there is in a little one, but that little yarn and little hook takes me longer because I'm about half blind. As long as I can cover my yarn stuffing and embroidery thread and stuff, and he can cover the shipping, he's like, that's fine. You want me to embroider long eyelashes on it? I bet you I could glue eyelashes onto one. You know me, I'll find a way. I will find a way. So if you like the possums, make sure that you're checking the Etsy store. And I'm trying to crochet, so when he gets them, he'll probably do like one thing and do like a quantity of 3 or 4 at a time when I get them done. And just know that they'll kind of slightly all be a little bit different. About roughly the same size, but a little bit different. And they're all gonna, the little ones are gonna kind of be like this. I've got to put his eyes on. There's the little one. So, and you can totally put a ribbon or string or something through it, hang it from your rear view, or, you know, I stuck a magnet one and stuck it on the fridge so it looks like it's scale on the fridge. But they're terribly cute. So we'll get those up as I get them done. And this week I've not had a lot of free time with the meetings I've had to go to and stuff. But when I do sit still, I like to crochet. So we'll get them done. Captain Kirk's. Margaret, the mental image that just created. Oh my gosh. Margaret's brain is on the same wavelength as mine. I'm pretty sure at this point. Nancy, I appreciate you. Thanks for popping in. That was a mental image right then. I'm a very visual person, and that went boom, right up in my head. Lord have mercy. Okay. Also, I need to remember when I leave this time to pull up some of my apple mints to mail to Levacat. So if Levacat sees this, I'm trying to remember that. I know that the other ones didn't take, and you want to replant them. I just got to remember to pull the stupid things out of the ground and put them in a Ziploc bag with a damp paper towel when I leave. And can I do that? Apparently not. I'm trying to remember. I'm terribly every day trying to remember to do that. So we'll see if I remember today or not. So if Levacat watches this later, I'm trying. It's in there. It's in the data bank. It's just not always coming forward when it needs to. But I'm trying. So, okay, I'm going to shut up now. I appreciate you all. It's nice to meet new people. It's nice to also give people a different perspective on Sabrina and her intelligence and who she is as a person, because she's this wonderful soul. And it's nice to know that there's still curious people in the world and that we all can still communicate. And you can talk about heavy stuff in a light manner. I'm just at one of those places where I've got gallows humor anyway from what I did with work. So I might offend you at times. I apologize in advance, but I guarantee it's going to happen. So just brace yourself. But I will only do so to really pass along information that should stick in your craw. And so I will make it kind of hit you to stick. It'll happen. Just wait for it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But I will always try to do what I deem is right with passing of information and creating curiosity and saying, hey, be aware, check into this, do your research. And I'm not going to try to guide you anyway maliciously. It's not who I am. Yeah. I'm an open book. So, okay, I'm going to wash my coffee cup and feed the dog and take a walk with her and end the day. I appreciate you all. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll do this again. I hope to goodness that I have a quiet day for a few days and can just kind of check out and just rest. And I'm hoping that next week we can do some farm talks and chew on a little bit more substantial stuff from the book and some other stuff. So we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. Appreciations. Another good channel to do is the Starkey Farmstead. A lot of the New York. A lot of the North Carolina things, the pages that are still doing the Helene damage and the things they're finding out from how the government's rebuilding or money's being used. It's very interesting. So the people in North Carolina are an open book right now. They're giving great information if you want to follow like Deep River Gorge and Appalachia Homestead with Patera. They're doing a lot of good information about how they're being left to basically heal on their own. And we are, like, they're my neighbors. My brother was in an affected area. They're being left alone to hell on their own. They're doing a lot of great communication right now that's really wonderful to know, especially if you realize, like I do, that we're all sitting ducks right now. So it's just really good. Stay curious, keep linking, keep building your support group, keep building your community. Test people. Don't believe anything anybody says on the internet, even me. Test people, research, do your homework, and then just make sure you've got the best people giving you the best information so that you can make the best decision, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for you and no one else. So take care of you. And in life, it's not been money that's done that. It's been information. So that's what I want to help y'all get. Oh yeah, Hillbilly Kitchen's wonderful too. She's the sweetest woman. Her peasant bread's really good too. Yeah, it did. It looks like a mess. Of course, we had a lot of rain. A lot of rain. Lots of rain. And we were just on the lower edge of it. They got more than we did. So it's collapsed again. Isn't it funny? They're gonna have to rebuild it, and it's gonna be a road where the government contracts are just gonna keep getting money. Irritates me to death. Meanwhile, a lot of people in North Carolina on rural roads are still getting stuff by mule trains because nobody wants to fix those. The money's not there, but we can just repeatedly fix these big roads that governments get bloated contracts for. It irritates the bejesus out of me, and I'll get on another tangent. We need to shut up because the dog's awake now and she needs her next meal. She took her nap. It's time for her next meal. We're getting her stomach under control. I'm going to shut up before I get started again. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Don't forget to fly by the Etsy store, Hillbilly Heart Decor. And we're on Ko-Fi now. The husband loves it. And if you are in Sabrina's group, I'll be there in a couple days as soon as I can get still and get successfully joined. I'm following her right now. You'll see me start to pop up a comment soon. And we'll just advance on in this new realm. And I think this will be a better environment for everybody, just because I think the troll traffic will be much, much less. So, all right, everybody, keep our little subgroup in your prayers. We got a lot of medical stuff going on right now with a lot of people. And, yeah, I think that's about it. So watch the weather. Pray for the farmers. And we'll take it a day at a time. Bye, guys. Appreciate you.